and welcome to Strategy Stories from the Real World, a series where we look inside at how leaders outside of Silicon Valley and the Fortune 1000 make tough and thoughtful strategic decisions. My name is Allegra Walls, and I will be today's host. Welcome back to our series focused on vision statements. In this question and answer format, we'll be asking different leaders how they're accelerating their impact. Specifically, during each show, we'll be digging into how leaders set and achieve their bold vision for success and how it helps them to lead their organizations impactfully. Today's guest is DT Minich, the CEO and President of Experience Kissimmee. Experience Kissimmee is the official tourism authority for Osceola County, Florida. DT oversees the tourism authority for Florida's largest theme parks and immersive outdoor experiences. This includes over 9 million annual overnight guests, 1,000 places to eat, and 70,000 accommodation options. We're excited to share how DT and his team are achieving their vision of being the trailblazers in destination marketing for the vacation home capital of the world. Welcome, DT. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
You've been the CEO of Experience Kissimmee for almost 8 years. So what's your leadership style and how does it feel to be a part of your organization?
Well, my leadership style is I would say it's kind of a combination of servant leadership and pace-setter leadership. So I really believe in, being kind of down in the trenches with the whole team. I want to be with them. I want to brainstorm with them. I want to hear what's going on within the organization and also with what's going on within the community. And I also want to stimulate them all the time. I'm always telling the team, go big, think outside the box. Let's get some big ideas. And, we'll always try something once. And if it works, great. It'll be a great success, but it'll be something that's outside the box and that no one else is doing. Or if it doesn't work, then we just kind of brush ourselves off and move on and we learn from that. But we won't know until we try. So I'm always encouraging the team to, try new things, come up with new ideas, think outside the box. But also, I refer to the team as my second family. I really believe that we are a family. We spend as much time together a lot of times as we do with our real families. And so, I have a complete open door policy and I want to hear and see what's going on with the team and hear of any problems or any issues as well. So just a really kind of hands-on approach, I would say.
I love that. That's awesome. We always like to ask that question because leadership has a lot to do with paving the way. And since this series is about bold visions, can you describe yours for me?
Well, we recently went through some exercises and looked at our mission statement and some of those things. And, we had said in previous years, it was that we wanted to be a recognized leader in our business, in the tourism marketing business. And now we've kind of changed that to, we want to be a trailblazer because the organization is really only 8 years old. It was previously a county government organization, and the tourism leaders in the area said this really isn't working as a government agency. We really think it needs to be a private organization that is a true marketing organization. So that's when they brought me on 8 years ago, and we privatized and turned a government agency into a private organization, which has allowed us to really think big, do big things, work with, our airline partners and our theme park partners and our hotel partners in a much more, more beneficial way for both of us. When you're a government agency, you're tied down with a lot of red tape and a lot of, different things, and especially in the state of Florida, because there's broad, what we call sunshine laws, which is the public records laws. And so government agency, we couldn't really enter into marketing agreements with like Disney and Universal, for instance, because if we signed an agreement, it immediately became public record. And of course, Disney, Universal to know what they're doing and vice versa and that kind of a thing. And also with the airlines and things. So it's really, really changed the way that this organization was functioning and operating and made it, of course, much, much better and much more effective. And, when we were a government agency, we really didn't have KPIs. We weren't really, tracking how we were doing, what we were doing. It was just kind of all over the place. So we've really tightened that up. The strategic plan has helped tremendously, really focus the entire team on what the objectives are for the next 3 years, how we're going to get there, what we're doing for all of these industry partners that you referred to earlier.
That's awesome. 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 Leadership requires bringing people along on your journey. And so now that you have that path well laid out, how'd you get your team to buy into that vision?
Well, we have we report out every month to the board of directors where we are in terms of all the different segments of the strategic plan. And most of those segments of the strategic plan involve one or more departments. So the departments have actual goals against the strategic plan that they're required to meet or to meet. So that kind of helps motivate them when they have goals and they have a clear vision of where they need to be or what they need to do. The other thing is just really, as I said earlier, just kind of, we have a pretty young team. And so it doesn't take a lot to motivate them. They're already very motivated, but just to keep them motivated, keep them thinking, in terms of where we're going and the direction that we're going. And also sometimes we can get off track a little bit, and we're trying to do more than what we really are supposed to be doing in terms of being a marketing organization first and foremost. So and we kind of have to do a little correction and make sure that we're on the right track, so to speak.
So speaking of being on the right track, can you tell us where you are on the journey? Where are you today against the vision of success?
So we have really, in the last 8 years, if I say so myself, we've really carved out our own kind of niche, and we've really established the brand as a standalone brand. We used to be just part of the Orlando area, but now we have a really standalone presence out there in the marketplace for consumers and for our travel trade customers and media that work with us. So we've really established that. And so now it's kind of looking forward and really looking at how the world around us is changing. So, for the next 3 years, we're putting the final touches on the next 3-year strategic plan. And one of the big things that I think is going to become more and more important in the travel and tourism segment is sustainability. And that we are sustainable and that we're practicing good sustainable practices and doing things a lot different than we've done for decades in this industry. So we're in the process of hiring a person that will be in charge of sustainability for the organization. They will be educating our local industry, all of our partners, the hotels, the restaurants, the attractions, the retail, on how they can be doing things in a more sustainable way for the business. So that's going to really be a big focus for us for the next few years, and really from here on out, I think, with the way the world is moving and with global warming and things. So we're really taking a look at some ways that we can be innovative and creative and be a trailblazer in terms of sustainability for destination marketing organizations.
That's awesome that you have such a focus on sustainability. You did mention that it was kind of progress that got you there. Can you share some examples or highlights of mile markers that you've celebrated along your journey?
Sure. Well, we've had really big marketing successes that have gained a lot of attention from the media and things. So just to give you one example of a really cool thing that we did a couple years back was we have several attractions here that are amazing zip line attractions where you zip line over alligators, live alligator pit, and things like that. And so we went up the first year we went to Chicago. We targeted the Chicago market because that's such a great market for us. And we engaged with an independent company that we actually, down in Grant Park, which is the main park in Chicago down on the lake, in February, in the middle of it was the coldest week of the year it happened to be. And we built a massive zip line in downtown Chicago. And then we invited consumers to come down, and we had warming tents. So we had tents with live alligators. We brought alligators up from Kissimmee. We had an airboat there on the lake. And so we were showing consumers the whole kind of giving them the Experience Kissimmee experience in the dead of winter in Chicago. And we had lines, they were lining up at some point on Saturday, there was a 2-hour wait to get on the zip line, and it was freezing cold. But we had every media outlet in Chicago down there covering it for the weekend. It was Valentine's weekend and President's Day weekend. And so we were encouraging, bring your Valentine's date down and do a zip line in the middle of the winter in downtown Chicago and things. And so that was so successful that we moved it to Boston the next year and did the same thing or a similar situation in Boston. But we're always trying to do kind of out of the ordinary events and things that will call a lot of media. And also nowadays, the big thing is social media. And had people posting like crazy and down there, and the attention that we got, it was really amazing, the amount of attention and the amount of exposure that we received in the Chicago market for that weekend event.
That is such a cool event. I've been to Grant Park. I've also been to Chicago in the dead of winter. So I can see why that drew a lot of attention. That is phenomenal.
We also did, we didn't charge for them to ride on the zip line, but encourage people to bring winter coats to donate if they had old winter coats for the homeless. And we were able, in that weekend, we collected over 1,000 winter coats that we donated back to the community, to the homeless, to help with the homeless in the winter time in Chicago. So it was not only a great event to market our destination, but a great event to give back to one of our key top tourism markets.
That is phenomenal. And helping at the same time, helping the most vulnerable among us. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. Let's dig a little deeper. How about if you get vulnerable with me for a second, if you don't mind?
Okay.
What are some of the detours you've experienced, and how did you get back on track from them?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've worked for 3 destination marketing organizations in my career.
Okay.
Started down in Fort Myers and Sanibel area on the west coast of Florida. And I started, my whole career's been in destination marketing. I started as an intern down there right out of college. And then I worked my way up through all the different levels in sales and communications, and then ended up running that bureau as the executive director for 7 years. And then I was recruited to St. Pete on the west coast of Florida, St. Pete, Clearwater. And I ran the bureau for 7 years before coming to Kissimmee. But in that time, being in the state of Florida, we had 2 major devastating hurricanes that hit Fort Myers when I was running the Fort Myers bureau. So Hurricane Charlie just completely devastated the destination. Sanibel Island was really out of business for up 9 months, and some of the big resorts were down for over a year, just trying to clean up, get back up and running. And so bringing that destination, and then a year later, we were hit with Hurricane Wilma. So that destination through 2 hurricanes, and how we had to survive and market and keep payroll going and all of that when we were really in a devastated kind of situation. We actually, our offices, when Hurricane Charlie hit, our offices were in a 5-story building, and we were actually on the first floor building, but the roof blew off the top of the building. And so water was running down inside the building. And they said, you've literally got about 5 days to get out of that building before the mold takes over in there. So we had no power, we had no electric. We're trying to talk to the world about what the situation was and make sure that people understood it was not a good, you can't come to the destination right now. And we literally had to find an office location and move our office in the midst of all of this disaster around us and dealing with, emergency services and the power companies and everything. So that was a really unique and challenging time. And then when I was in St. Pete, we had the devastating BP oil spill. And so while we didn't have oil on our beaches in St. Pete, Clearwater, the perception was that we had oil on our beaches, that the whole Gulf Coast was covered in oil. And so we really had to work closely with a lot of national organizations and partners, and we had to be aggressive with BP so that we were able to secure emergency marketing funds from the BP oil fund, market the destination to let people know that, hey, we don't have oil on our beaches. Our seafood is safe to eat and consume and things like that. So that it really took us almost a full year to really come around and get back to where we were prior to the oil spill. So there's been several of those instances, and then of course the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008 that we had to overcome along with everybody else. So and then of course, now we've had 2 years of the pandemic and how we've been able to market and survive. We had to initially, after the pandemic broke, we had to cut our budget in half. So we went from a $25 million budget to a $12 million budget. And we had to lay off, unfortunately, about 25 team members. So it was a really, really tough period back there, but we've been successful and have come out of this. And again, we're able to secure almost $11 million in emergency funding to help us market the destination during the pandemic. So, I think the key through all of these in leadership is really having a complete open communication with all the different departments and with the other organizations in the area and with your partners, and letting them know what's going on and how to overcome whatever the situation might be. But my experience in disasters and in these kinds of things is always having a really, really good line of communication open with everybody involved.
That's such great advice. I appreciate your transparency there. So I do just have one final question for you.
Sure.
Our followers love practical tips and takeaways. So what is the one gem or nugget of wisdom or tip that you can share with our leaders about visioning or vision statements?
I think that it's really important to have a third-party outside agency assist you when you're developing a strategic plan, or when you're either developing or updating your mission and vision statements. I think it's really important to have somebody from the outside looking in, because we're so close to it on a day-to-day basis that we may miss things or not catch things. So, and I think it's also very important, we have over 30 members of our board of directors is 34 members. And so it's hard to kind of wrangle in that many people and get them to provide guidance and vision and really knowledge to help us develop these things. So having a third party, a partner in this, that's a third, an outside partner, really makes a huge difference. It really opens up the communication, and like I said, it can lead to things that you weren't aware of, because we as an organization, we're living and breathing this every day, and there might be things that we just don't see or don't show up on our radar. So I think it's really important to have someone help you when you're developing these types of things, like a mission statement or a strategic plan.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. DT, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. We're really happy to kick off this new video series and can't wait to share insight from some of our favorite leaders around the globe. As always, thank you all for watching. Happy strategizing.
Hey everybody, it's Erica from On Strategy. We just heard from DT about the impact of a bold vision for Experience Kissimmee. As we know, great visions inspire action. Help your team think about what meaningful actions they can take by giving them these 3 tips. Number 1, think impact. Great actions have impact, not just outcome, on staff, customers, and community. Number 2, allow for failure. Not everything's going to work, so allow people to explore and test. Number 3, and arguably most importantly, make it personal. Help your team understand how their day-to-day actions connect with the future state. And there you have it. Thanks for tuning in. If you like our content, subscribe. We drop videos every week. And of course, happy strategizing.